Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Suhei with Suhei Plans, and today I am sharing how the first month in the Laurel Denise Portrait Planner went for 2024. I've also got my Hobonichi Hone with me because I moved from this planner to this planner for goals and intentions, and I want to do a little bit of a comparison on the transition. I think that I made a good choice with the Laurel Denise, and I will be continuing, just to put that out there from now. I will be continuing for next month, but I do need to make some tweaks to how I was using it in July and make some changes for August. So let's kind of just jump right in the Hobonichi. I think I'm going to open up to the month of March. There we go. And then let's go to July. This pocket doesn't do a great job of holding things in. Okay, and let's go to July. As you can see, this was well used. And a lot of the things that I was doing in the Hobonichi transferred over beautifully in the Laurel Denise. The color coordinations, some decoration, keeping track of takeout, keeping track of certain spending categories. A lot of that transferred over really well. But one of the differences with Laurel Denise is that not only was I able to do that in my monthly view, but then my daily tracker, my goals, and my reflections were also all happening on one spread. And I just could not say the same for that in the Hobonichi. Right here, I'm tracking kind of like what's going on a monthly basis and to some extent on a daily basis, but I couldn't really do daily tracking here. And I was using this spread in the Hobonichi, which is fine, but I do really appreciate everything on one page. I think it really helps me to be more intentional. Not to say that it makes me feel more guilty, but I can be more accountable to myself when my habits are front and center and all on one spread, if that makes sense. So a lot of the things have been going well, which is great. One thing that I like with the Laurel Denise, I can also have my goals here, and I can also do for the month, and I can also do my monthly reflections right on here. Something I wasn't quite able to do here. For the kind of daily section that you get in the Laurel Denise, I thought that this was a much more reasonable amount of space for me than with the, let me go to like April. I thought that this was a much more realistic amount of space for a daily intention. A lot of this is kind of, I don't know. I can't, it's just me like kind of thinking out loud versus actually setting intentions. And on a lot of days that just felt overwhelming. So I really, or I didn't do it at all. So I really felt that I really appreciated having this much space to set a daily intention with still room for weekly intentions. So that has been really great as well. And I'm just going to kind of flip through these weeks. You know, some days I miss, and that's okay. That's all right, right? Life gets busy. This week has been really crazy, so I haven't really done a lot in here. But also, this is the week when I really decided that I'm going to pivot a little bit, how I'm also using these pages down here. So we'll get to that in a little bit. Then at kind of the dot grid at the end, I have a spending breakdown chart that I have to fill in a little bit more, but I was going to use these two spreads to track some spending because it's always one of my goals. Like, don't spend so much money on your hobbies. There are other things to prioritize. So that's something that I always want to kind of keep my eye on. Okay, so that seemed to go really well, right? If you just do like a quick overview, that seemed to go really well. So what changes could I possibly be making? I'm making several. The first change I'm making is that I am no longer going to use fountain pen in here. I think that the paper can handle fountain pen, but I don't like the feathering that happens sometimes with highlighter on this paper. And I also, sometimes I have fountain pen accidents. Here's an accident, there's an accident, and I think fountain pen accidents are fine in Tomoe River paper. I think they're fine on a daily page that you don't have to see again, so to speak. But I was really bummed out by all the fountain pen mess that I had to look at day in and day out. So for the sake of my type A sanity, I'm going to move to gel pen for August. I'm also going to probably use like a 0.3 or a 0.4, just because some days I felt like my writing was so tight on certain days. I felt so limited. But I think that with a finer pen that I can fit a little bit more in these boxes. And because they're slightly vertical and I'm also using up some space to track spending, I need to kind of maximize on space in each of these boxes. Let me do a little bit of a zoom there. There we go. So that's a change that I'm definitely making for next month. I want to continue using the grid for tracking. I thought that was very handy, and the dot grid really helps me do that neatly. One big change I'm making is in how I'm using these pages. I was fortunate enough to be gifted a Rosie Papeterie Gratitude and Wellness Journal. And I think this book is so beautiful and gorgeous, and I want to do my daily intentions in this book instead. So what I want to use the Laurel Denise daily section for is to reflect on the day. I kind of thought about it a little bit, and yes, I do write in my journal daily, but I don't really take a moment to reflect on the goal, like on how much progress I made on my goals that day, or why things didn't go as planned or whatever. So I think I can equally, I can set intention. You can use really either way. Initially, I was using these to set intentions for the day. Now I'm going to use them to write a short reflection at the end of the day on how that day helped me move toward my goals. Not every day is going to be super productive and helping me move towards my goal, and I think it's okay to say that. I do think about my goals often, even if I don't make progress on them. And so I think this would be a worthwhile switch to just kind of reflect. And I really thought about this idea on the day that I broke my no spend. I forget exactly what day that was. I broke it a few times, but there was like a big no spend break day. And I wish I kind of would have written down why I made the decisions that I made, and why I didn't stick to my goals for that day. I think that could really be helpful as I look back. So that's something different that I want to do with these daily pages here. Let's see, what else did I want to use? Change. I was trying to, it's really difficult to track more than one thing in kind of this highlighted line that I created. Let me see if I can bring that up to camera more. Right, like I can fit like one thing there. And I found myself getting confused whether I was tracking my spending or whether I was tracking my takeout on that one line. And I realized that, okay, my brain is going to get confused if I'm switching what I'm tracking. So, and for this month, I decided to track takeout and not track stationery here. That didn't really work. I think it's because I'm just so used to tracking my stationery spending that I would mistakenly put my stationery spending and then realize, oh no, wait, it was supposed to be takeout that I'm writing here. So that was really confusing. So I'm going to go back to using this line to tracking stationery, which I was doing before. And then I'm going to track takeout on my mobile app, because I also found it very, very annoying. Every time I bought a drink and a fruit from the store, I felt like, oh no, I forgot to write it down. So I'm just going to use a mobile app for doing that. So that's kind of like, that's really not related to Laurel Denise at all. It's just me making personal changes to the system. And I think a lot of this is not about the planner when I really think about it. A lot of these changes are just personal preferences of mine and making this system work as best as possible for me. Let's see. I also have some notes here, so I'm kind of referring. Let's see. And I think, that was probably the biggest things. One last thing. This planner is time consuming, right? I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's not. I'm going to be totally real with you and tell you that this takes time. This takes effort, and it's just one more planner in a pretty hefty planning stack that I already have. So I found myself getting overwhelmed in coming to this planner every day. There's a lot already going on. I don't want to feel overwhelmed by the planner and then not use it. So I need to kind of rethink what I'm doing. So what I've decided to do is I'm going to I'm going to do my daily, nightly reflections, but I'm not going to update the monthly calendar. I'm not going to update the spending breakdown. I'm not going to update the trackers every day. Instead, what I'll do is that I'll track these things in my personal rings, and then I'll transfer them over once a week into this planner. So, I'm really taking 5 minutes every day in here, which is doable. And then on the weekend or at the end of the week, I'll do a little bit more work in here and backlog some of the things that we did that week, update my trackers, and, update my spending log. I think that will also make the planner feel a lot less intimidating, right? If I'm kind of tracking elsewhere and then updating this as I go. You might be thinking, oh, Sue, that's kind of a lot of work. And I actually don't see it that way. I think that, my personal rings is with me all the time. And, if I worked out that day, I will quickly... And I look at my daily plan. I look at my personal rings every day. So I will go to my, on my notes, I'll write that I worked out, how many calories it was, right? And then when I have a little bit more time at the end of the week, I'll go through my rings and I'll update this as needed. And, I actually cannot say what would save me more time. I actually cannot say. But I can say that just dumping things in my personal rings and then putting it in here later feels less overwhelming to me. And I really think that that's the magic, right? I feel like folks in the community want to have more planners, and people always ask me, how do you maintain so many? And I think it's just kind of being strategic about how you're using them. I have a notes section on my daily page and my personal rings every day. I can quickly jot down what I need to transfer over into this book. And I think that is what another change that I'm going to make for August, just so that this planner feels more manageable. And so the habit that I'm trying to maintain is more attainable. Otherwise, it was a great first start. I'm excited for month 2. I think now that I know what I'm going to do, like what changes I'm going to make, I am going to start setting up the month of August. But I'm feeling really good. And, I think that no matter what book I'm using, I'm really excited about how focused I've been with my goals this year. So far, so good. I'd love to know if you have any questions, or you using the Laurel Denise Portrait Planner. How is that going for you? Are you sticking with it for August? I'm hoping to share more next month with the changes, and hopefully those changes will keep me motivated to stick with this planner. Thanks so much for your time, everyone. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next one.